right, I was hoping Marion Sharada would join. It's her birthday today. I'll send her a message later. All right, let's think in spirals to mobilize the body. So starting with the head, let's drop the head to one side and try and give it the weight of the head. Soften the jaw. And notice as you look up at the ceiling, are you going clockwise or anti-clockwise? This will be important when we change directions. So let's keep going, but gradually see if you can take that movement into the upper body. So as you lean back, think about the chest reaching up to the ceiling, leaning over to the side. So taking it further down the spine as we go, but taking your time. So even though we're thinking in spirals, maybe today we can think about how we balance the body, moving between flexion, extension, side to side, opening, closing. So you can see I'm starting to work my way down the spine, opening the arms wide, so more expansion across the chest. We can lift the arm overhead into that side bend to deepen the stretch. We're still going in the same direction, starting to use the hips. So the hips were spiraling round the whole way. Nice slow control. We're really squeezing the glutes. Back bend, let's make sure we're not arching, straining the lower back. So if we squeeze the glutes and tilt the pelvis as we lean back, it's more an upper body stretch. We're still going in the same direction, just the upper body is getting a little bit closer to the floor. Keeping in the same direction, take the knees a little bit closer. Same direction, both knees at the same time. Keeping the feet flat on the floor. Hold the knees for support. We're waking up the knees and the ankles. Still going in the same direction, making you think this morning. Let's circle the ankle, using the toes of that right leg. Hold on to a wall or a chair if you need for balance. Other foot still the same direction you were going in. Now we're going to go the other way. So start to think about waking up the whole body. Okay, so I was going anti-clockwise. I'm now going to go clockwise. So I'm working my way around the clock face, soft jaw. Gradually taking the movement into the chest, the sides of the body. And if you find you're going in the same direction, it really doesn't matter. We're going slow enough that we're engaging all the muscles of the body. Starting to feel more movement, moving through space, more muscles engaged. Only lifting the arms for more movement, more weight. If you feel you need that extra bit of oomph, taking the movement into the hips, so spiraling round and round. And then we're going to move on to the knees, taking the knees in the opposite direction you were going to before. Nice, slow, controlled movement. And then into the toes, so circle the toes and the ankles. We're going to take 2 rounds of Pilates roll down and roll up. The first very linear, switch to the other foot. So just taking time to extend, find release down the spine. And the second one, we'll take that zigzag movement down the spine. Let's shake out the legs and set up for the Pilates roll down. So standing tall, shoulders back and down, squeeze the glutes, chin to chest, close your eyes if you feel comfortable to. Ragdoll arms. And see if you can be really fussy about allowing the upper spine to soften and lengthen before you move on to the next section of the spine. So as I say, we've only got 2 rounds of roll down and roll up. This first one directly down to the floor. Pausing in that ragdoll fold to shake out the arms, the head. Soften the knees to roll up. So building blocks, base of the spine, one on top of the next. One at a time. Head last to come up, and at the very top, let's roll the shoulders back and down. This time a zigzag movement. So we take stretch, release to the sides of the body. So gently finding your way down towards the floor, taking that stretch, yummy stretch to the side, to the spine. Pause in your forward fold to stretch the legs. Maybe you bend and stretch, bend and stretch. And then with soft knees, rebuild the spine, but with a little bit of a sway on the way up. We're looking for softening, mobilizing the spine, all the way up to standing, and shrug out the shoulders. I'm going to take the legs wide, final twist for the spine. Let's start by softening the knees and reaching down towards the opposite ankle. And then up, deep breath in, soft knees and across. Trying to now turn navel, then ribs, then top shoulder to the side. So try and take this softening, navel round, ribs, shoulders. Now you either stay here or go to straight legs, and we're reaching back of the hand on the outside of the leg to give us more of a twist. And breathe in, center, breathe out other side. And final option is to lift that top arm. But those who did that session where we were looking at the triangle in more detail, remember we were trying to turn the belly, the ribs, the top shoulder, and then extend the arm. Otherwise, we risk having a dropped shoulder and not such a nice position in the upper body. So try to think about navel, ribs, up, top shoulder, and then lift the arms to deepen the twist right into the fingertips. The last two sets you can take to get into the Pilates saw with a pulse, pulse. Pulse, out breath, breathe in. So it's a strong out breath, reach, reach. Last set, whichever version, soft knees, straight legs. And last side. Great. Shrug out the shoulders. Let's keep the legs wide, but bend the knees so we're in that kind of saddle, horse, goddess position, whichever name you like to call it. We're going to take a pyramid side to side. So let's first of all think about turning the knees to one side. Sorry. Back heel slightly lifted. Straighten the back leg, hip flexor stretch. Lower the leg. Legs straight, hips square to the side wall, and then we'll fold the flat back. So it's not about getting your chest as low as you can, just feeling that work into the backs of the legs and length from the base of the spine into the crown of the head. Engage the core, the front ribs knitted together, tummy bottom back to the spine, and rise up. We do the same to the other side. Now, so we're not twisting the knees, you may want to soften the knees, slowly edge, so the hips, the knees, everything pointing to the side wall. Briefly lift that back heel just so we get a hip flexor stretch. And then straightening both legs, hips square to the side wall, shoulders back and down, and take that fold. Nice and easy, long spine, long neck, very deep stretch for the back of the leg, using your core to stand up. So we want to try and find a nice easy flow, side to side, bend, stretch, fold. So we're going to have a couple of rounds like this, so you're not trying to look at the screen. Just take a nice easy goddess, squat, turn, and fold, because I am going to add on. So if this is a challenge, stay here. I'll do one more basic or classic round flow. Pyramid, saddle, pyramid. Is saddle or horse. Taking into a fold. We're going to have the option of adding on the arms. So immediately eliminate that if it's just not happening today. As we lift this back heel to bend and turn, got the opposite arm forwards. All right, let's just go for that for now. Squat, turn, and reach. So I'm starting to keep the outside, the side knee bent, and reach. Squat and reach, stretch. Maybe the back arm stretches in the opposite direction. Maybe the hands can come center. Oppositional stretch. If you've had any knee niggles, take extra care on this swiveling around so we're not pulling on the knee. I'm going to add on now. So again, either stick with this, great work on your balance, lower leg strength, twisting the spine. Option to lean forwards into the side foot and then lift and step back to a lunge. Maybe for now it's just a case of taking this twist and leaning, starting to feel the weight shift into one leg. Maybe the leg just lifts a few inches off the floor. So work with wherever you're at. And we're going for a slow control into kind of a modified balancing stick. Back to your lunge, goddess. Switching the hips to the side wall. Okay, there is one final addition for those who want to challenge themselves a little bit more today. From a balancing stick, we can go directly to a warrior three. So I always like to soften the knee of the standing leg and then extend into warrior three, stepping back and we're to the other side. Are you going crazy here? So we can just go back to the reach, maybe taking the weight out of the back leg or coming to your balancing stick. You can either step back to your lunge or take it into a warrior three, extending the leg, stepping back and the other side. Looking for a slow control. So try to just find that engagement, slowing everything down. And do scale it back off if there's just too much going on. Only adding on so there's enough for everyone to work with. Nearly done. Let's try for 2 more sets, your version. So maybe we just take the side position, weight into the front foot, lift. You're nearly done. 1 more set each side after this. We're getting a hip flexor stretch as we stretch that back leg. This continual shifting of weight. That's why it's fine to wobble because the brain's calibrating. So try and be okay with this bit of wobbling. Amazing. And come to the center, toe and heel your feet in, shake out the legs to take it back to something a little bit more what you're used to, not to go on automatic pilots, but let's take a classic round of sun salutations and then we're coming down to the mat. Stand at the front of your space. Remember what I was saying about going in opposites and finding balance here. Sun salutations without any bells hanging on any extra asanas. It's a great way of just showing, pausing in each asana to feel, is this an opening or a closing? So squeeze the glutes, stand tall, your mountain pose. Now breathe in. Here we're opening the chest, opening wide. So this is kind of your self-confidence, showing up, being loud and proud. And then as we fold, maybe this is your humility, a little bit of quiet stillness coming into yourself. Pause in that forward fold. We creep back into opening with a flat back halfway lift. Lengthen the spine, base of the spine to the crown of the head. And then again, we fold into ourselves, drop the head, upper body folding. We're stepping the right foot far back, either with the knee down or the knee lifted, and either stepping back to a high plank or knees down, tabletop. Your version of chaturanga to a cobra, either with the knees down, but let's see if we can get the elbows into the waist, a long line in the spine, down to your belly. Keep the hands under the shoulders, elbows into the waist, tuck the chin and squeeze the glutes as you lift into your Cobra. Breathe deeply in and out of the nose here, chest wide open. Tuck the toes, take a down dog or an extended child pose. Pause to feel the shape. So we're maybe looking more into our belly now, but finally lengthen the back of the body. Lift the heels up high if you're in your down dog. Bend the knees, and whether you're in your child pose or this lazy dog, step the right foot to the front. Help it into place if it needs. Pause. We're coming to stand back at the front of the mat, feet pointing forwards, nose on the knees, chest on the thighs. And we're rolling up through the spine, press into the floor, open the chest, open the arms, reach overhead, hands meet and return left side. Breathe in, opening the chest wide, maybe a bit of a back bend, and then fold. Shoulders back and down, hold the backs of the legs wherever the hands fall and shake out the head and melt into your forward fold. Halfway lift. Fingertips on the shins or holding the thighs. Feel a length here, the base of the spine to the top of the head. Come into your forward fold, step your left foot far back, either in that runner lunge position or with a knee down. Preparing for a high lunge or tabletop. So shoulders back and down, pausing in the shape to be the longest you can be. Squeeze the glutes, you should have no belly hanging down. Tuck it all in, tilt the pelvis, squeeze the glutes, and your version of down to the mat. The elbows into the waist, see if you can keep a long line through the body as long as possible. Coming down to the belly. Either Cobra or full up dog if you feel your spine is long enough, warm enough. And breathe deeply, chest open, shoulders down, glutes squeezed. Tuck the toes, take it down dog through soft knees, lift the hips high and pause. We're just going to waver the hips side to side here. So we're straight, taking a stretch into the side of the body. You can gently drop the heels to one side, then to the other side, and we're preparing to step forwards. So soften the knees, heels high, and help the left foot to the front. Pause in the runner lunge if you can, just to give the hip flexors time to soften out. One note here, if you've got niggles in your wrist, make a fist. And if with the thumbs, this part pointing forwards, we've got a nice straight line along the wrist here. In martial arts, they often come into more of a plank position with this fist position. It's great for strengthening the wrist, so it's not a cop-out. When you're ready, we're coming to the front of the mat, feet hip distance apart, drop the head, and then starting to straighten up the legs, rebuild the spine, open the arms, flip the palms to face up, take a deep breath in, reach overhead, hands meet, and back to heart center. Brilliant, one round is enough. Let's come down to the mat. We're going to take like an eagle, but again, thinking about two different ways of moving the body. So when you're ready, make your way down to the mat, hug the knees into the chest, and let's go. So here, if I talk about an eagle twist, if I mirror you, left knee over right, the knees into the chest. If you can double hook, that's great. Now, if you have your left knee on top, we're going to have the left arm underneath. So stack the elbows right on the left, either the backs of the hands together or fully wrap the hands. Now we can go for the end range of movement here. We can stretch apart, lifting the legs, elbows come right over the nose as we breathe in, and then the breath out. Squeeze as if we're going to fuse the upper and lower body together. So squeeze, head, neck and shoulders lift up, empty the lungs, tummy muscle back to the spine, knees right into the chest. Breathe in, extending away from the center line. Breathing in deeply, stretching the legs in that twisted position as far as they can go. Rinsing out the spine, almost an arch in the spine here, and then we imprint the spine. Everything comes back to the navel, pressing in. We fuse into one piece. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. 2 more. Breathing in, extending, head rests down. Shoulder blades, that work between the shoulder blades. We lift the elbows high over the face, stretching into the legs, and the breath out. So combining so many things here, stretching, contracting, twisting, arching of the back, flattening, using your core. Last one here. Deep breath in and breath out, imprinting the lower spine, engaging the core, your counter, elbows in towards the belly, knees in towards the head, squeeze and empty. Take a moment to unwind and wipe the knees side to side. We've got the other side to go. So if your left knee was on top, that's the right knee on top and twist. Now, do I get confused? Okay, so we've got the other arm on top, so that's your right arm on top this time. Squeeze in, point the toes and fuse, empty the lungs. Breathe in, stretching overhead. So here there's an arch in the spine, but because we've wrapped the arms, wrapped the legs, there's some strength in the core so that we're not loading the spine. Empty the lungs, squeeze in, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Keep going with the breath, feeling length, working the elbows overhead. Now don't worry if your wrists don't wrap. The main element of the eagle twist in the arms is that wrap of the elbows. That gives us the possibility of hooking strongly and drawing the shoulder blades apart, up and down. So we want that movement in the shoulder blades, and that mainly comes from squeezing the elbows into each other. Let's have one last one on this side. A deep breath in, stretching away from the center point, and a breath out. Squeezing, fusing everything in, empty the lungs, squeeze front ribs together, back to the spine, and release. Have a little rock on the spine. Brilliant. Now that was all very closed in the hips. Let's come to a Supta Baddha Konasana, the soles of the feet together. And take a nice movement. We're bunching up in the neck, the throat there. So let's now take the arms overhead. And as I drop and reach, climb through one arm, and lifting that shoulder and dropping the head to the other side. So I'm just going to get you to climb with a nice roll from the one temple across the back of the head. So the head, neck supported throughout. Breathe in as you reach, breathe out as you switch to the other side. No tension in the thighs, the legs can just give in to gravity. We're just taking a nice easy twist in the spine, soft jaw. So where we were taking all that work in between the shoulder blades, now just letting everything settle into place, a nice gentle stretch. One more set each side. Just making sure there's no clenching in the jaw. This gentle twist in Supta Baddha Konasana is all just about releasing any tension in the jaw and the throat. Help the knees come together, and we're going to take leg slides. We've not got time for many, so let's make it count. Tuck the pelvis, so we've imprinted the lower spine, no arch there. And hands on the hips, gliding the right leg out into an extension without the cup of tea I'm placing on your navel spilling. Scoop in the abs, top of the bottom back to the spine without lifting the shoulders, and lift the leg. Bend and return. We're taking it side to side. The other leg extends. So we can place an imaginary spirit level across the hips. Feel that scoop, the engagement in the core without lifting the shoulders to lift and return. We're going slow enough that we can occupy space. So you extend the leg as far as it will go, almost feel like the femur, the thigh bone is reaching out of the hip. Engage, tummy button back to the spine, imprint the lower back. Feel that pulling in the core, helping to reel the leg up as far as it will go, and then bend and return. So trying to incorporate as many different strengthening, mindful elements into this as we can. Chin's tucked into the chest throughout. If your shoulders have a tendency to rise up, or if you've got any stress tension in the shoulders, hold the shoulders. Just that sensory input for the brain can be enough just to remind the brain to soften those muscles and make all the work happen from the ribs down. So engage, imprint, slow control. Last 2 sets. So for this, let's imagine you've got that cup of tea on your belly button. Try to maintain that softer curve in the spine by coming to a neutral spine. We've taken out that excessive arch in the lower back. Important to keep the front ribs knitted together. Tendency when we're making so much effort to keep these lower abdominals pulled in that the ribs can flare is sometimes helpful to think about breathing into the back of the body, breathing, expanding into the space between the shoulder blades so that we keep the front control throughout. Last set, and then hug the knees into the chest. See if you can stick with me just for this last set. Slicing through the air, feeling length, control. And last side, and then hug the knees into the chest. Oh, clunk. Amazing, you did it. Hug the knees into the chest. Give the knees a little bit of a rub, and circle. The knees drawing a circle on the ceiling. And as you circle the hips, so we come full circle back to the idea of circling, spiraling. See if you can imagine the base of the spine, around the base of the spine, a clock face. So as the knees come into the chest, you're at 12, working your way around the clock, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, knees away from you, 7, 8, 9 to the side, 10, 11, 12, and back the other way. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 12. Hug the knees into the chest, have a little rock on the spine. We're briefly coming onto all fours to finish. So, one round of cat-cow. Always lovely for the spine, knees, ankles, hip distance apart. Breathe in and look up. Stretch the throat. Stick the bottom out. Breathe out, chin to chest, round the back. Go into a flat back. Hold the left shoulder and take the elbow across the opposite elbow, forwards, up, back and down. So big back stroke, chest opener. Once more on this side. Breathe in and open, stretch, look back. And other side. Elbow right across, so drawing a big movement round. Chest open, look back. Soft head though, no straining now. Nice open chest. And then taking the knees wide, sit back on the heels, and let's just take a brief wide leg child pose with the fingers reaching forward, sit bones reaching back to the heels. A small movement side to side in the hips will just give you a little bit of an inner thigh stretch here. One more breath here, and then head last to come up. Slowly placing the hands back, rebuild the spine. And let's take gentle movement, either sitting in hero or sitting on your heels. Deep breath in, puff the chest out, drop the head back. Breath out, round the back, chin to chest. Last time, breathe in like a seated cat-cow. Chest forwards, you're pulling on the knees. And then pushing the thighs away to round the back. Right hand to the floor, left arm up and over. And stretch. Other side. And to the floor, kick the shoulder down. Reach into the sides of the body, maybe looking up to the ceiling. And then shrug out the shoulders. There's your 30 minutes. Thank you for joining me today. You've been amazing, as always.